Might sound a little technical, but this won't last for too long. But anyway, there are Shukdev Goswami mentions at the outset of the Srimad Bhagavatam that there are 10 topics. So, Atra Sargo Visargascha Sthanam Poshanam Utayah Manavantareshanukatha Nirodho Muktir Ashrayah. So, the 10 topics are creation of the universe, subcreation, planetary systems, protection by the Lord, the creative impetus, the change of Manus, the science of God, returning home back to Godhead, liberation, and the Samam Bonam. So these are the 10 topics that are described in this Srimad Bhagavatam, which is known as the Amala Puran, the spotless Purana. Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanam Amalam. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had said that the Srimad Bhagavatam is the topmost Pramana or the topmost proof for devotional service or to live life in general. So, and these are the 10 topics that come in in Srimad Bhagavatam. So this particular canto talks about the manus, whatever happens in when the various manus are there. So if you read the introduction to the first chapter of the eighth canto, Prabhupada describes there about the manus a little bit, and even in the description of this chapter, actually, even in the verses we'll see today that there is a description of the manus. So within each, so there are 14 manus in the lifetime, in a day of Brahma, actually. So, which is like spans over 1,000 Chatur Yugas. So, Chatur Yuga is Satya, Treta, Dwapar, Kali. So, this is one Chatur Yuga, and there are 1,000 such Chatur Yugas. That is one day of Brahma. And within this one day of Brahma, there are 14 manus that rule over the universe. And so within every Manvantara, within the reign of each Manu, there are six people or other groups of people that are very important. So the first one is Manu himself, whoever is doing the seva of being Manu, and then the sons of Manu, and the next is the third is the demigods. Who are the demigods who are holding the post of the demigods that time at that particular during that reign of the Manu? Then Indra, who is the head of the demigods, and then there are the seven great sages, Saptarishis that we say, and then there is the Manvantar avatar of the Lord. So within the reign of every Manu, there is a an incarnation of the Supreme Lord who descends and performs pastimes. So like that, there are many Manus described, and we'll see uh, in this chapter that how while Shukdev Goswami is describing the activities of various Manus, he just happens to mention in the passing, like he just happens to mention that, oh, okay, and during this Manu there was this incarnation with Supreme Lord Ajita who helped in churning the ocean of milk. And then, as soon as he says that, Parikshit Maharaj, he poses a question. He requests Shukadev Goswami to go into more detail about this particular churning of milk ocean. And that is the segue that leads us into this section of churning the milk ocean. And then the following, I guess, so this is fifth. So about 12 chapters are related to that from what I read. And the activity of churning of the milk ocean is, I guess, described in only a few of the chapters, maybe one or two. But there is a lot of peripheral pastimes that happen, which are very instructive for us as well. Like Mohini Murti comes, and after the churning, the nectar comes. Then Mohini Murti comes, and she has to distribute it among everyone equally. And then so many pastimes happen there. Then Mohini and Lord Shiva, he becomes enamored by Mohini Murti, and so many other pastimes that happen. So in any case, that is a little background to this section, and this section is, as as it happens with so many pastimes that we read in the Puranas. This pastime also, there is a background of the fight between the demigods and the demons, and that is the backdrop in which, I mean, that is actually where it all begins. And just like in many cases that we see in the stories of Bhagavatam, some person, some rishi or some sage became offended and placed a curse on someone else. So in this pastime as well, a curse is actually the beginning of the whole mess that the demigods see themselves in. So with that in mind, let's go to the chapter itself, and we will try to relish this chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. So there are 50 verses here, so let's do 10 each. So we'll have 5 devotees. So Krishnan Prabhu, yes, you can go ahead, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Sukadeva Goswami continued, O king, I have described to you the pastime of Gajendra Mokshana, which is most pious to hear. By hearing of such activities of the Lord, one can be freed from all sinful reactions. Now please listen as I describe Raivata Manu. The brother of Tamasa Manu was the fifth Manu named Raivata. His sons were headed by Arjuna, Vali, and Vindhya. O king, in the millennium of Raivata Manu, the king of heaven is known as Vibhu. Among the demigods were Bhutarayas, and among the 7 Brahmanas who occupied the 7 planets were Hiranyaroma, Vedasira, and Urdhva Bahu. From the combination of Subra and his wife Vikunta, there appeared the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vaikunta, along with demigods who were his personal plenary expansions. Just to please the goddess of fortune, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vaikunta, at her request, created another Vaikunta planet which is worshipped by everyone. Although the great activities and transcendental qualities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead's various incarnations are wonderfully described, sometimes we are unable to understand them. Yet everything is possible for Lord Vishnu. If one could count the atoms of the universe, then he could count the qualities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But no one can count the atoms of the universe, nor can anyone count the transcendental qualities of the Lord. The son of Chakshu, known as Chakshusha, was the sixth Manu. He had many sons, headed by Puru, Purusha, and Sudyumna. During the reign of Chakshusha Manu, the king of heaven was known as Mantradruma. Among the demigods were Apyas, and among the great sages were Havisman and Viraka. In the sixth Manvantara millennium, Lord Vishnu, the master of the universe, appeared in his partial expansion. He was begotten by Vairaja in the womb of his wife, Devasambhuti, and his name was Ajita. By churning the ocean of milk, Ajita produced nectar for the demigods. In the form of a tortoise, he moved here and there, carrying on his back the great mountain known as Mandara. Mandara. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. I don't know who. Yes, Vallabh Chaitanya Prabhu.
King Parikshit inquired, O great Brahmana, Shukadev Goswami, why and how did Lord Vishnu churn the ocean of milk? For what reason did he stay in the water as a tortoise and hold up Mandara mountain? How did the demigods obtain the nectar, and what other things were produced from the churning of the ocean? Kindly describe all these wonderful activities of the Lord. My heart, which is disturbed by the 3 miserable conditions of material life, is not yet sated with hearing you describe the glorious activities of the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the master of the devotees. Sri Suta Goswami said, O learned Brahmanas, assembled here at Naimisharanya, When Shukadev Goswami, the son of Dvaipayana, was thus questioned by the king, he congratulated the king and then endeavored to describe further the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Shukadev Goswami said, when the Asuras, with their serpent weapons, severely attacked the demigods in a fight, many of the demigods fell and lost their lives. Indeed, they could not be revived. At that time, O king, the demigods had been cursed by Durvasa Muni. The three worlds were poverty stricken, and therefore ritualistic ceremonies could not be performed. The effects of this were very serious. Lord Indra, Varuna, and other demigods, seeing their lives in such a state, consulted among themselves, but they could not find any solution. Then all the demigods assembled and went together to the peak of Sumeru mountain. There, in the assembly of Lord Brahma, they fell down to offer Lord Brahma their obeisances, and then they informed him all the incidents that had taken place. Upon seeing that the demigods were bereft of all influence and strength, and that the three worlds were consequently devoid of auspiciousness, and upon seeing that the demigods were in an awkward position, whereas all the demons were flourishing, Lord Brahma, who is above all the demigods and who is most powerful, concentrated his mind on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus, being encouraged, he became bright faced and spoke to the demigods as follows.
Thank you, Mataji. Soham Prabhu.
Yes. Lord Brahma said, I, Lord Shiva, all of you demigods, the demons, the living entities born of perspiration, the living beings born of eggs, the trees and plants sprouting from the earth, and the living entities born from embryos, all come from the Supreme Lord, from his incarnation of Rajoguna, Lord Brahma, the Gunavatara, and from the great sages, rishis who are part of me. Let us therefore go to the Supreme Lord and take shelter of his lotus feet. For the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there is no one to be killed, no one to be protected, and no one to be neglected, and no one to be worshipped. Nonetheless, for the sake of creation, maintenance, and annihilation according to time, he accepts different forms as incarnations, either in the mode of goodness, the mode of passion, or the mode of ignorance. Now is the time to invoke the mode of goodness of the living entities who have accepted material bodies. The mode of goodness is meant to establish the Supreme Lord's rule, which will maintain the existence of the creation. Therefore, this is the opportune moment to take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because he is naturally very kind and dear to the demigods, he will certainly bestow good fortune upon us. O Maharaj Parikshit, subduer of all enemies, after Lord Brahma finished speaking to the demigods, he took them with him to the abode of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which is beyond this material world. The Lord's abode is on an island called Shvetadvipa, which is situated in the ocean of milk. There at Shvetadvipa, Lord Brahma offered prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even though he had never seen the Supreme Lord. Simply because Lord Brahma had heard about the Supreme Personality of Godhead from Vedic literature, with a fixed mind, he offered the Lord prayers as written or approved by Vedic literature. Lord Brahma said, O Supreme Lord, O changeless, unlimited Supreme Truth, you are the origin of everything. Being all pervading, you are in everyone's heart and also in the atom. You have no material qualities. Indeed, you are inconceivable. The mind cannot catch you by speculation, and words fail to describe you. You are the supreme master of everyone, and therefore you are worshipable for everyone. We offer our respectful obeisances unto you. The Supreme Personality of Godhead directly and indirectly knows how everything, including the living force, mind, and intelligence, is working under His control. He is the illuminator of everything and has no ignorance. He does not have a material body subject to the reactions of previous activities, and He is free from the ignorance of partiality and materialistic education. I therefore take shelter of the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, who is eternal, all pervading, and as great as the sky, and who appears with six opulences in three yugas, Satya, Treta, and Dwapara. In the cycle of material activities, the material body resembles the wheel of a mental chariot. The 10 senses, 5 for working and 5 for gathering knowledge, and the 5 life airs within the body form the 15 spokes of the chariot's wheel. The three modes of nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance, are its center of activities, and the 8 ingredients of nature, earth, water, fire, air, sky, mind, intelligence, and false ego, comprise the rim of the wheel. The external material energy moves this wheel like electrical energy. Thus, the wheel revolves very quickly around its hub or central support, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the super soul and the ultimate truth. We offer our respectful obeisances unto him. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is situated in pure goodness, Shuddha Sattva, and therefore he is Ekavarna, the Omkara, Pranava, because the Lord is beyond cosmic manifestation, which is considered to be darkness. He is not visible to materialize. Nonetheless, he is not separated from us by time or space, but is present everywhere. Seated on his carrier Garuda, he is worshipped by means of mystical yogic power by those who have achieved freedom from agitation. Let us all offer our respectful obeisances unto him. No one can overcome the Supreme Personality of Godhead's illusory energy Maya, which is so strong that it bewilders everyone, making one lose the sense to understand the aim of life. That same Maya, however, is subdued by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who rules everyone and who is equally disposed toward all living entities. Let us offer our obeisances unto him.
Thank you, Prabhu. Vishal Prabhu.
Since our bodies are made of sattva guna, we, the demigods, are internally and externally situated in goodness. All the great saints are also situated in that way. Therefore, if even we cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, what is to be said of those who are most insignificant in their bodily constitutions, being situated in the modes of passion and ignorance? How can they understand the Lord? Let us offer our respectful obeisances unto him. On this earth, there are 4 kinds of living entities who are all created by him. The material creation rests on his lotus feet. He is the great supreme person, full of opulence and power. May he be pleased with us. The entire cosmic manifestation has emerged from water, and it is because of water that all living entities endure, live, and develop. This water is nothing but the semen of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, may the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who has such great potency, be pleased with us. Soma, the moon, is the source of food grains, strength, and longevity for all the demigods. He is also the master of all vegetation and the source of generation for all living entities. As stated by learned scholars, the moon is the mind of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. May that Supreme Personality of Godhead, the source of all opulences, be pleased with us. Fire, which is born for the sake of accepting oblations in ritualistic ceremonies, is the mouth of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Fire exists within the depths of ocean to produce wealth, and fire is also present in the abdomen to digest food and produce various secretions for the maintenance of the body. May that supremely powerful personality of Godhead be pleased with us. The sun god marks the path of liberation, which is called Archiradi Vartma. He is the chief source for understanding of the Vedas. He is the abode where the absolute truth can be worshipped. He is the gateway to liberation, and he is the source of eternal life as well as the cause of death. The sun god is the eye of the Lord. May that supreme Lord, who is supremely opulent, be pleased with us. All living entities, moving and non moving, receive their vital force, their bodily strength, and their very lives from the air. All of us follow the air for all of us follow the air for our vital force, exactly as servants follow an emperor. The vital force of air is generated from the original vital force of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. May that Supreme Lord be pleased with us. May the supremely powerful personality of Godhead be pleased with us. The different directions are generated from his ears, the wholes of the body comes from his heart, and the vital force, the senses, the mind, the air within the body, and the ether, which is the shelter of the body, come from his navel. Mahindra, the king of heaven, was generated from the prowess of the Lord. The demigods were generated from the mercy of the Lord. Lord Shiva was generated from the anger of the Lord, and Lord Brahma from his sober intelligence. The Vedic mantras were generated from the bodily wholes of the Lord, and the great saints and Prajapatis were generated from his genitals. May that supremely powerful Lord be pleased with us. The goddess of fortune was generated from his chest, the inhabitants of Pitraloka from his shadow, religion from his bosom, and irreligion, the opposite of religion, from his back. The heavenly planets were generated from the top of his head, and the apsaras from his sense enjoyment. May that supremely powerful personality of Godhead be pleased with us.
Thank you, Prabhu. Nandini Mataji or Ritesh Prabhu, or both?
Yes, Hare Krishna. The Brahmanas and Vedic knowledge come from the mouth of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Kshatriyas and bodily strength come from his arms. The Vaishyas and their expert knowledge in productivity and wealth come from his thighs. And the Sudras, who are outside of Vedic knowledge, come from his feet. May that Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is full in prowess, be pleased with us. Greed is generated from his lower lip, affection from his upper lip, bodily luster from his nose, animalistic lusty desires from his sense of touch, Yamraj from his eyebrows, and eternal time from his eyelashes. May that Supreme Lord be pleased with us. All learned men say that the five elements, eternal time, fruitive activity, the three modes of material nature, and the varieties produced by these modes are all creations of Yogamaya. This material world is therefore extremely difficult to understand, but those who are highly learned have rejected it. May the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is controller of everything, be pleased with us. Let us offer our respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is completely silent, free from endeavor, and completely satisfied by his own achievements. He is not attached to the activities of the material world through his senses. Indeed, in performing his pastimes in this material world, he is just like the unattached air. O Supreme Personality of Godhead, we are surrendered unto you, yet we wish to see you. Please make your original form and smiling lotus face visible to our eyes and appreciable to our other senses. O Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, by your sweet will, you appear in various incarnations, millennium after millennium, and act wonderfully, performing uncommon activities that would be impossible for us. Karmis are always anxious to accumulate wealth for their sense gratification, but for that purpose they must work very hard. Yet, even though they work hard, the results are not satisfying. Indeed, sometimes their work results only in frustration. But devotees who have dedicated their lives to the service of the Lord can achieve substantial results without working very hard. These results exceed the devotees' expectations. Activities dedicated to the Supreme Personality of Godhead even if performed in small measure, never go in vain. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, being the Supreme Father, is naturally very dear and always ready to act for the good of the living entities. When one pours water on the root of a tree, the trunk and branches of the tree are automatically pleased. Similarly, when one becomes a devotee of Lord Vishnu, everyone is served, for the Lord is the super soul of everyone. My Lord, all obeisances unto you, who are eternal, beyond time's limits of past, present, and future. You are inconceivable in your activities. You are the master of the three modes of the material nature. And being transcendental to all material qualities, you are free from material contamination. You are the controller of all three of the modes of nature, but at the present, you are in favor of the quality of goodness. Let us offer our respectful obeisances unto you. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you, all readers, dear devotees. So let's do some quick prayers. Om Agyan Timirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमः ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घायते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारणम्. So thank you, dear devotees, for reading this chapter. And just this was something I wanted to note down and cover, but I it kind of went to the sidelines because of the other things that were there in the chapter. But one thing that I observed was here from verse 25 onwards, Lord Brahma is describing the Supreme Lord, 26 onwards. He's more or less describing the Virata Rupa of the Supreme Lord, that he's saying the 10 senses are, like the chariot wheel, the three modes of nature, the rim of the wheel. Okay, a wheel is being described. And then, where is that? Yeah, like it says here, water is the semen of the Lord. And then it says, Soma, the moon, the moon is the mind of the Supreme Lord. Then fire is the mouth of the Supreme Lord, and the sun god is the eye of the Supreme Lord, and so on. So he's describing this Virat Rupa, he's describing this technical form of the Lord, as the Lord manifests in the world. And then finally, he is saying in this verse 45, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, we are surrendered unto you, yet we wish to see you. Please make your original form and smiling lotus face visible to our eyes and appreciable to our other senses. So here, asmat karana gocharam, appreciable by our direct senses, especially by our eyes, and mukhambujam, lotus-like face, sasmitam, smiling. So Lord Brahma is describing he's giving a very technical description of the Lord, consisting of Virat Rupa and so many other elements of the universe. Finally, he's asking the Lord to show his original lotus-like, face, original form, smiling form. So this reminded me of the Bhagavad Gita also, wherein the after in the 11th chapter, when Arjuna sees the ghastly form of Krishna, the universal form, Virat Rupa, that time also he, out of the love that he has for Krishna in his heart, he requests Krishna to show his Saumya Rupa, so his two-handed, original two-handed form. And then Krishna manifests that. And after Krishna does that, Arjuna says that, okay, now I am fine. Now um, I don't have any anxiety anymore, right? So anyway, so coming back to this particular chapter, so a very nice chapter, and we'll see a quick breakup of this chapter. So the first 10 verses, the summary description of the Manus, as I mentioned before, that this whole canto actually describes the various happenings in the various Manus. And then in the 10th verse is where Shukadev Goswami, he just mentions about a Lord Ajita who produced nectar from the churning of the ocean of milk. And then in the verses 11 to 13, Parikshit seeks to hear more about the churning of the milk ocean. So this is where Parikshit Maharaj requests Shukadev Goswami to talk about this pastime. And then after that, the demigods. So then now Shukdev Goswami starts narrating the story, and it so happens that demigods, they because of losing everything to the demons, they decide to go to Lord Brahma. This is what typically happens whenever the earth is burdened by various demoniac forces. The demigods, they all go to Brahma, and then Brahma, if he can't find a solution, then they all together go to the the shore of the Shweta, the milk ocean, Kshir Sagar, and then they pray. They they pray to the Supreme Lord with various stotras and suktairyameva nigama pratitai stumanti, right? So Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Like that, they pray to the Lord, and then the Lord manifests himself either in the form of a voice, like in case of Krishna's birth, we see that when demigods go to the shore of Kshir Sagar, that time Vishnu's, the Lord's voice actually tells the demigod that I'll appear and things like that. If I'm wrong, if I'm not wrong. So like that, they pray, and then they get a resolution for their issues. And then finally, in 26 to 50, Lord Brahma is praying. He's offering prayers to invoke Lord Vishnu's presence. So this is like the simple break of the chapter. Now we'll go into the deeper themes in this chapter. Okay. So first theme in this section of 11 to 13. So Parikshit Maharaj mentioned something really nice. He says that his heart is not yet sated with hearing the Lord's glory. So he's not yet completely, he wants to hear more. He wants to hear more, and he wants to understand the Lord's glories more. And then he's asking that. And of course, his the epitome of that hearing, the epitome of hearing the Lord's pastimes actually comes in the 10th canto, which is titled as a Samam Bonam, right? That's where Krishna's pastimes are described, and that's like it takes it to the topmost level. Krishna's pastimes with the gopis and so on. So this is one theme we'll discuss. The second we'll discuss is how did this whole thing happen? What was this Durvas Muni's curse to Indra, to the demigods? And then finally we'll see one particular theme in verse 47 that comes: results achieved by worshipping the Supreme Lord. Right? So anyway, going to this first theme of Parikshit's heart not being satiated or sated with hearing the Lord's glory, so he wants to hear more, right? So I wanted to I was hearing a talk the other day, and the speaker in that talk was talking about this verse. As the talk was about hearing, the process of hearing, Shravanam, and here this is a very famous verse again, Bhagavatam 10:1-2, 10:1-4, I believe. So it says, Nivritta Tarshair Upagiyamanad Bhava Aushadach Shrotra Manobhiramat क उत्तमश्लोकगुणानुवादात् पुमान् विरज्येत विना पशुघ्नात्. So translation goes, glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is performed in the Parampara system. That is, it is conveyed from the spiritual master to disciple. Such glorification is relished by those no longer interested in the false temporary glorification of this cosmic manifestation. Descriptions of the Lord are the right medicine for the conditioned soul undergoing repeated birth and death. Therefore, who will cease hearing such glorification of the Lord except a butcher or one who is killing his own self? So, from this verse, actually, a few things can be extracted. Right? So, uh, so there are three types of people that this verse talks about who relish hearing about the Lord's glories. Okay, so the first category here, okay, are the liberated souls. Right? Nivritta Tarshair Upagiyamana, Nivritta Trishna. So what are these Nivritta Trishna people? Right? They are already liberated. They don't want anything material in their life. They're already satiated with everything. They are just, they are beyond matter. And such people are, the topmost category of people who relish the Lord's glories. And this comes in the Srimad Bhagavatam in the beginning also. Nigama kalpataro galitam phalam shukamukad amrita drava samyutam. Pibata Bhagavatam rasamalayam muhuraho rasika bhuvi bhavukaha, it says. So the last line, especially here, it says that this Srimad Bhagavatam, it is the ripened fruit of Vedic knowledge, Nigama Kalpataror. And this last line, it says that uh, Rasika Bhuvi Bhavukaha. So the Rasika people, those who are already on the highest levels of spiritual life, they also relish the Lord's glories. So it's like the Lord's glories are unlimited. The Lord is unlimited, so his glories are unlimited. So even if somebody is liberated, they can unlimitedly keep hearing the glories of the Lord, right? So that is the first category of people, the liberated people or the Nivritta Trishnas who relish the Lord's glories. Now, of course, most of us are not at least I am not in this category. So the next category is a little more realistic for us, struggling sadhakas. So the next is Bhavaushadhat. So those who are seeking medicine for the material disease. So this is also one category who relish the Lord's glories, right? And this is, most sadhakas would, I guess, fall into this category where we understand that yes, we are entangled in this material universe, we are entangled in this dukhalayam ashashvatam world, temporary and full of miseries, the world which is temporary and full of misery. So we want a medicine for that. We want to cure this whole suffering that we are in, and for that reason we seek that, and we know that the glories of the Supreme Lord, they are like a medicine, bhava aushadha, and that is why we hear the Lord's glories, right? So this is the second category. And then there is a third category also, those seeking entertainment, manobhiraman. Maja aata hai. There are these kathas which happen where there is nice music going on in the background, and then the speaker is also describing in a very very dramatic and in a very nice way, and then there are these people who are seek, whatever you do, mast hona chahiye katha, it should be nice, it should be really good, I say maja aa jana chahiye, that kind of a thing. So there are such people also, those seeking entertainment. Of course, we don't see such people in the West, but in India it's quite common, yeah, it's like a pious enjoyment. Yeah, I mean, we could watch, there is, all these three are glorious, by the way. The third category, those who are seeking they could seek entertainment in other things also, but they are trying to come and at least seek entertainment in the Lord's glories. So that opens the doors for them to go to the, graduate to the higher categories, right? Like Bhava Aushadha and Nivritta Trishna. So these are the three categories of people mentioned in this verse who relish the Lord's glories, who like to hear the glories of the Lord. And then there is one category that is mentioned, one type, which is known as Pashubnath. So there are these people who are aloof, who want to stay aloof from the Lord's glories. Puman Virajeta, they don't want anything to do with the Lord's glories. So that category is Pashubnath, either a butcher or one who is killing his own personal existence. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has dissected this term Vina Pashubnath in many, many ways, but We'll not get into that. I don't even remember those. But anyway, this is like the glory of hearing the glories of the Lord, right? Now, the question is just like Parikshit Maharaj, who is expressing to Shukdev Goswami that my heart is not yet satisfied, my heart is not yet satiated. So can you please talk about more about the glories of the Supreme Lord? So now the question for us is how to develop this taste for hearing the Lord's glories. So it's a question for all of you. So we can have some discussion here. Yeah. Yes, any ideas? How, or rather, in your own sadhana bhakti, how have you developed, or how do you try to develop the taste for hearing the Lord's glories? Any inputs? Ah, So there is this verse in the okay, Samaksh Prabhu and Vrinda Gopi Mataji have finally taken mercy upon me and raised their hand. Yes, Prabhu and Mataji, go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Yeah, Prabhu, I was thinking, like, hearing itself includes space for hearing one is our life,
Sorry, I can't hear you, Mataji. There is some, it's a little low or something, the volume. Can you? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Can you hear me now?
Yes, this is nice. Yeah.
Yeah, so like hearing more will increase this taste of hearing. I feel because once I heard Maharaj saying that it's like medicine, whether you like it or not, you take it, and then automatically you the disease will go away. So the disease of not finding taste in hearing can go away by hearing more.
Yeah, very nice, Mataji. Thank you for that. There is an analogy that Prabhupada gives also. When one has jaundice, then they are told to eat sugar, but then because of the jaundice, the sugar doesn't taste very sweet. But then the cure is to keep eating that sugar. And then once that jaundice goes away, that same sugar starts tasting very sweet. Yeah, so similarly, in the Bhava Aushadha stage, in the stage of material conditioning, we hear the glories of Lord, and sometimes it takes effort. Sometimes we really have to put in effort. We really have to put our mind speculations and our own ego aside and hear the Lord with submissiveness. But then that is the cure. That is the cure medicine, as you mentioned. So yeah, keep hearing more to get taste. Yes. Any other thoughts? So Krishnan Prabhu mentioned in the chat, is it the mercy of the Lord? Yes, definitely the mercy of the Lord is involved in fact, in anything we do, in any the developing a taste for any activity within devotional service does come by the mercy of the Lord. Yes, that is like the overarching principal cause. Yeah, definitely. But anything more specific? Yes, Ritesh Prabhu, Nandini Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji, this is something I even heard from some other devotees and something that I try to do myself is kind of replay certain aspects of certain pastimes uh, and basically get into the emotions expressed in those pastimes, not just the act, just the emotions behind them. For example, like when Krishna heard of Sudama waiting on his gate, he ran, and the expression of emotions in that. So trying to get deeper into what must he must have felt while taking the steps towards Sudama, and what would Sudama felt when he saw Krishna running towards him, being the king and the Lord himself. So yeah, basically rerunning those pastimes and actually getting into that mode of identifying the emotions behind those pastimes.
Got it, bro. Yeah, thank you. This is also very beautiful. Identifying the deeper emotions that are in play in a particular pastime that helps us relate to the pastime, because we are all emotional beings, and just rationality is not tasteful. Mere rationality. We need some emotion in life, and that's why when we get into these pastimes and we really go deeper to understand what these characters of these pastimes are going through, what these devotees, these people are going through, then that definitely adds taste to hearing Lord's glories. Yeah, thank you very much, Prabhu. Thank you. Any other inputs? Previous life good karmas is one more thing Krishnan Prabhu is saying. Yes, that is also true. Previous life good karmas. Yeah. So there is a very interesting story that I heard twice in the past week. So this is a story of Yamunacharya. So I'll not get into the whole story. It's a very, very long story. But then Yamunacharya, to summarize the story, he was, as a little child, he defeated a king in argument, and then he himself became the king, like very 12-year-old boy or something. He became a king, and then after that, in his kingly duties for many, many years, almost 25, 30 years, he forgot his spiritual duties, right? He had a very nice upbringing because of his grandfather, Nath Muni. But he forgot in his kingly duties, he forgot everything. And then Nath Muni knew this. Nath Muni knew that his grandson, in his, seva of being a king, he has forgotten the Lord. So then he sends one of his disciples to go and bring back Yamunacharya. I mean, that time he was not Acharya, he was Yamuna, the king Yamuna, and then to bring him back to the path of bhakti. And then this person goes, and there's a very nice story how this devotee Rama Mishra, he very smartly gets the audience of the king, because getting the audience of the king is not a simple thing. But then he does a small trick by which he gets the audience of the king. And then he goes and tells this Yamuna, the king, that look, your grandfather has sent me, and then he has a treasure for you in a particular place. So then this king thought, okay, yeah, my grandfather knows I'm a king, so maybe he has kept some money for me, kept some wealth for me. And then so he thought, okay, yeah, sure, I would like to get the treasure. But then Rama Mishra says, no, but only you and I can go there. Nobody else can come with us. So then he says, okay, let's go. The king says, so both of them go. And on the way, this Rama Mishra is reciting Bhagavad Gita. So the verses of the Bhagavad Gita. And then this King Yamuna, he's hearing the Bhagavad Gita, and then it's kind of starting to, give him a remembrance of his Shravanam, right? The upbringing that he had received at his home as a child, of reciting and hearing Bhagavad Gita every day. And then finally, when Nath Muni, finally when Rama Mishra comes to verse 12.8 in the Gita. Mayeva manadhatsva mayi buddhim niveshaya nivasishyasi maya eva at urdhvam na samshaya. So just fix your mind upon me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and engage all your intelligence in me. Thus you will live in me always, without a doubt. So as soon as Rama Mishra recites that verse, suddenly all the impressions, the good impressions, spiritual impressions that Yamuna had as a child, everything came out. And then that transformed his heart so nicely, so much, that he said, that's it, I'm going to take sannyas and I'm going to dedicate my life. And then I don't want any treasure now, he says. But then Rama Mishra says, no, I have to give you that treasure. It's an instruction from your grandfather. So then finally he takes them, and then the treasure was actually the Ranganath deity. Like he takes him to Sri Rangam. That's where he discovers they go to the Ranganath deity. Ranganath is the same deity who has three doors, right? That the Sanctum Sanctorum has three doors to take darshan. So it's a very huge deity of Lord Vishnu, who is lying on Anantashesh. So it's a very famous temple, and yeah, I mean, you can hear this story from Radhanath Maharaj. It's much more relishable, and I just summarized it very quickly. But yeah, good karmas of previous life or good karmas of previous years within the same life, that helps develop that taste for hearing. So yeah, thank you, Prabhu. And then Mataji is saying hearing Harikatha from a pure devotees. Yes, yes, 100%. That also is very important. That also invokes devotional service in our hearts. And actually, in this connection, there is that verse from Vishnu Puran that says you should not hear the Lord's pastimes from a materialistic person or a Mayavadi. So it says sarpochishta. So it's like milk tasted by a serpent. So that's actually that is counterproductive for our spiritual progress. So yeah, definitely hearing Harikatha from pure devotees increases our affinity to hear the glories of the Lord. So I wanted to just cover one quick verse here. This comes in 1.2.16. So this verse is actually considered as the formula for increasing our affinity to hear. Shushrusho Shraddhadanasya Vasudeva Katharuchihi Syan Mahat Sevaya Vipra Punya Tirtha Nishevanat. O twice born sages, by serving those devotees who are completely freed from all vice, great service is done. By such service, one gains affinity for hearing the messages of Vasudeva. So this verse is often repeated in the context of getting taste for the Lord. So we need to serve those devotees who already have that taste, and that way we can develop more and more taste for the Lord. Anyway, so that's about this theme. Going to the next theme, right? So this is how this whole pastime started, right? Yes, Krishnan Prabhu, you mentioned serving pure devotees will also develop taste. Yes. So anyway, so this Durvas Muni's curse to Indra. This is a nice story, and I guess a lot of you know this story, but I'll just narrate it. So once, I mean, Durvas Muni, uh, like if we have heard Bhagavatam, or if we know of the Bhagavatam, then we'll understand Bhagavatam or even Mahabharata. We'll understand that Durvas Muni is very quick in giving curses, right? He is, very, I would say, I don't want to criticize a Muni, but then he is quick in giving curses. He becomes displeased very quickly. So then Durvas Muni, one day he's walking on the road, and then he sees Indra. So Indra is on Airavat, Indra's elephant. So Indra is, with his whole retinue, he's coming, his entourage, and a lot of, pompous reception for Indra. So he's sitting on his elephant and coming. So then Durvas Muni thought, okay, Indra, you're a nice guy. So he takes out a garland which he himself is wearing. So Durvas Muni is wearing a garland. He takes it out and he gives it to Indra. Now Indra, in his pride again, Indra also again, we read in the past times that he also does certain things that gets him in trouble, right? So the story of him offending Brihaspati, and then we know the famous story of him offending Krishna. So Indra also, it's like the I don't know how to say this, but it's a very it's a worst combination of two people coming together. Durvas Muni, who gets offended quickly, and Indra, who happens to make mistakes in terms of offending people. Of course, again, hands down, they both are great souls. Indra is a great soul. Lord Vishnu comes to receive his yagya personally, right, when he does yagya. So Indra is a great devotee, of course. But then, just as a lesson for us, we discuss these pastimes. So then Durvas Muni gives this garland to Indra, and then Indra, what he does is, out of his pride, he just puts that garland on Airavat, the elephant. He not even makes it wear, he just leaves it on Airavat. Now Airavat, being an elephant, being an animal, he doesn't understand, the value of the garland. He doesn't understand, oh, this garland is coming from a great soul and all that. So he does, he just uh, whatever wiggles or whatever, and the garland falls down, and then he smashes the garland with his feet. And then once this elephant Airavat does that, Durvas Muni becomes offended. And that's when he curses Indra to become poverty stricken, bereft of all material opulence and things like that. So because of this, the demigods, they were, affected by, so, and then the demons also attack at around the same time. So there are two things that are happening. The curse is taking effect, and at the same time the demons are attacking. So that really defeats the demigods. They can't do anything now because they've lost everything, their power and everything. So anyway, that is the story that I wanted to discuss here. Now I wanted to talk about this principle of Vaishnava etiquette. So this is a principle that Radhanath Maharaj has spoken about a lot in his lectures. So this is a very famous verse that he quotes many times. Maryada Palana Haya Sadhura Bhushana. Maintenance of Vaishnava etiquette is the ornament of a devotee, he says. So I just wanted to open it up for discussion here. Like, what does Vaishnava etiquette mean to you? Like, what does it really mean? Does it always mean, oh Prabhu, I'm fallen, I'm the worm in the stool of the worm in your stool. I'm a very fallen conditioned soul, please save me. Is that Vaishnava etiquette? Is that what it means? Or what does this Vaishnava etiquette mean to you? Let's discuss this a little. Yes, any ideas here? Anyone wants to share? Yes, Krishnan Prabhu.
Um, you know, treating everybody as they are parts of God.
Yeah, that's a very nice point, Prabhu. Yeah, they are parts of God. Shuni chaiva shvapake cha panditah samadarshina. Yes, a pandita is samadarshina. He sees everyone equally, and definitely, that's a good point. Yes. Sundari Sakhi Mataji is saying, respecting every Vaishnava, seeing the presence of the Lord in them. Yes, yes, similar to Krishnan Prabhu's point. And then, yes, Vallabh Chaitanya Prabhu or Manu Mataji.
Prabhuji, I just had a thought that I don't know whether it implies to this particular point or not, but I feel that balancing material and spiritual practices is also one sort of a Vaishnava etiquette. I was thinking more of in practical terms, because I feel that this means being very disciplined in time management and also fulfilling all the work responsibilities or family responsibilities, while we are also prioritizing our spiritual growth.
Yeah. Thank you, Mataji. Yeah, that's one way to think about it. Yes. Oh, and then in this balancing, does it involve other people? Or is it just like an individual thing, something that the practitioner himself or herself needs to develop?
I think I was thinking more of in terms of individual kind of a perspective.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let's see. Nupur had raised her hand, and Krishnan Prabhu has his hand raised. So.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I just wanted to add to Manishika Mataji's comment, which is doing our prescribed duties, and doing that to its completeness, completing them, and also additionally doing sadhana. That is also so. So I agree with Manishika Mataji that balancing both of these is also probably part of the Vaishnava etiquette.
Right. Right. Yeah, I mean, that is definitely one very zoomed out way of seeing Vaishnava etiquette. Definitely, that we balance out everything. And yes, so etiquette actually, the word etiquette, from what I have read and heard in the context, it is usually related to our dealings with the others, with other people. Of course, balancing our spiritual and material lives, and balancing things in our life, sadhana and prescribed duty, that also involves other people in our life. So in that sense, definitely, Vaishnava etiquette does mean doing justice to all these individuals who are connected to us. Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Then, so just quickly reading the chat. So Soham Prabhu is saying, seeing good qualities in everyone and trying to glorify them genuinely. Yes, that is also Vaishnava etiquette. Um, to glorify people genuinely, and yes, avoid criticism. That's where I was also going to come, to glorify genuinely and to avoid criticism as well. So that is criticism of devotees or Vaishnavas is very very grave offense as per the Shastras. So yes, gossip also is part of it. Yeah, gossiping is something, discussing something that is of no avail to anyone. It's just mirch masala. Yeah. Then Nitya Mataji is saying, showing a genuine concern for others. Yes, definitely. That is a big part of Vaishnava etiquette also. That we show genuine concern for others, and concern for others in the way that is required for them. So definitely. Thank you, Mataji. And then we had some hands raised. Gaur Kumar Prabhu? Yes, Prabhu, please.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. So I think there's a deeper reason for Vaishnava etiquette. And so let's say somebody performs some Vaishnava etiquette towards you. So do you appreciate what they did, or the intention or the sweetness behind what they did? So Chaitanya Charan Prabhu says in Gita Daily, one of the Gita Daily articles, that Vaishnava etiquette is good when somebody performs Vaishnava etiquette towards you, but we should appreciate the sweetness behind the Vaishnava etiquette. So the root of Vaishnava etiquette is sweetness. And so if I appreciate what Soham Prabhu and Nitya are mentioning here, like showing genuine concern for others, or what did Soham Prabhu say? Seeing good qualities in everyone. So that comes, the root of that is like you're being sweet, and the sweetness automatically turns into Vaishnava etiquette. So rather than focusing on the etiquette, you should focus on the concern, the love, and the care for someone, and then the etiquette automatically comes. So just wanted to share that, Prabhu. Thank you.
For sure. Thank you so much. That is beautiful. That is beautiful. Taking us to the heart of Vaishnava etiquette. Yes. And that is the ornament of a devotee. That sweetness is the ornament of a devotee and the exchanges between devotees. Yeah. Thank you very much. Any other thoughts, dear devotees here? Nupur, you had raised your hand, but then you you want to say something?
Yes, Puji. So I really like the answers. And I was thinking, like, immediately as you said etiquette, the thing that came to my head as well was how I behave with others. But I really liked what Anishika Bhavi mentioned about how we behave like ourselves. It starts with us, like the discipline and everything. Because if I don't be in alignment with myself, there is no way that I'm going to show respect or love or have that love and care for someone else. So yeah, I like that point as well. So yeah, my answer was very much similar, like not offending someone, like, and everything that is mentioned, like paying respect and the concern. So honestly, my head didn't say concern and love. My head was like paying respect, not offending. And yeah, but I really liked how Bhagavad Prabhu mentioned, like, it should come from the heart. As soon as you said Vaishnava etiquette, what came to my head was paying obeisances. So yeah, so I really like that you brought this question. Yeah, that's all
Thank
really.
you. Yeah, I mean that's the understanding of etiquette that I also had. You have to behave in a certain way. That is etiquette. You have to wear a certain type of clothing, or you have to behave a certain way when you're with devotees, behave a certain way in the temple. That you know that is Vaishnava etiquette. But then, as Gaur Kumar Prabhu mentioned, when that sweetness is there, when that focus on sweetness is there, all these things will happen, all these things will take place anyway. Like, we will be nice in temple, not just in temple, we'll be nice with everyone, everywhere we are, anywhere we are, right? But when that sweetness is there, the external symptoms also show. So yes, etiquette involves that sweetness. Thank you, Ma. Thank you so much. And then Ritesh Prabhu, Nandini Mataji.
Yeah, I had like one point, as in what do we mean by Vaishnav etiquette versus any etiquette? And like, if showing concern or genuine concern, does that also involve us to know what the genuine care is? And where does it come from the Vaishnav etiquette side versus just etiquette? Because we do have corporate etiquettes and different kind of etiquettes, like social etiquettes. So how does that differ from Vaishnav etiquette? And that showing genuine care for others, how does that differ in this? Is
Yeah.
my yeah
I can
like
answer that, Prabhu, if you want.
Go ahead, please.
So the corporate etiquette and other etiquettes, they don't go to the spiritual or the soul level. They can stop at the physical, at most at the emotional. But to take an etiquette to the spiritual level or at the soul level is where Vaishnava etiquette comes. Because when we develop sweetness towards someone, or compassion towards someone, or concern towards someone, we don't just look at the body, we look at how to elevate the consciousness of the soul. And that is Vaishnava etiquette. Does that help, Ritesh Prabhu?
Yes, thank you, Prabhu. Yeah, I was also reading GK for PK, where he had uh, like Chaitanya Charan Prabhu had mentioned, like, how do we know we are doing the right care, and kind of aligns with yeah, what you're saying. So we have to know what kind of help can we provide, and what is the best kind of service or help. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhu. Just to add there, right? In, like you mentioned, corporate etiquette and everything, right? So the spiritual etiquette is, of course, Vaishnava etiquette. It involves sweetness, right? Now, etiquette itself involves sweetness, I would say, anywhere, be it in a corporate setting, or be it in any setting. Etiquette does involve sweetness. Now that doesn't mean we can express that sweetness openly in every setting. Like in the corporate setting, we can't express sweetness. If we go try to express sweetness in the corporate setting, people will call us crazy, right? So I guess the way then it will manifest there is in some sort of genuine humility, like genuine humility in terms of dealings with others at in our workplace. Again, humility also doesn't mean getting stomped over by others, but humility means a genuine willingness to learn, genuine willingness to help others in the corporate, and these all these qualities are appreciated a lot in any corporate workplace. Um, so yeah, that it might begin with very simple humility, genuine humility, and then when that relationship develops, then we can think of spiritually uplifting that person, and then the sweetness part will be more prominent. But then I guess, yeah, that is one idea that I had. Yeah. Anyone anyone else? So Vallabh Chaitanya Prabhu, Manishika Mataji, they are saying respecting boundaries. Definitely, that is one important part of Vaishnava etiquette as well, right? And we need to respect others' boundaries, others' preferences, and that way, that sweetness doesn't go away. Then yeah, that sweetness remains, and yeah, definitely. Thank you, Mataji. Krishnan Prabhu is saying love in all our dealings, 100%. And Krishnan Prabhu has a question: should this etiquette be reciprocal? If we don't experience love and concern from the others, do we still have love in our heart for them? Yeah, this is this is a tough one. Again, it depends on whom we are dealing with and the person involved. In certain relationships, we might have to, keep showing our love and concern, right? And uh, I mean, I guess the question is the question comes from a standpoint of if what if we are getting exploited uh, because of showing our love and concern? Now, definitely in that case, if we are getting exploited, then that's not the right state of consciousness that the other person has. In that case, the etiquette, uh, the concern for them would involve us to distance ourselves from them, or in some way try to have them reevaluate their consciousness, their behavior towards us, and then that way we can take it from there. And yeah, I guess it might also involve letting go that yes, I have love and concern for this person, but then this person doesn't seem to be reciprocating with that. So I guess the path of growth for this person is for me to be leave them be, like uh, stay away from them. Again, I guess stay away from them has a negative comment. Stay the hell away from me, you idiot. Not like that kind of a thing, but yeah, from a genuine place of this person needs to grow on their own a little, and then I don't know if that answered the question, but yeah.
I think it did, Prabhu. So what if we sense, I don't think this is a hypothetical question, what if we sense like genuine evil, in someone, and not in someone, maybe, let me make it more broader. Let's say in a country or something, in a country some has done some evil things. I don't want to put it on a person, but let's say they have done some evil things, and now should we still have the same Vaishnava etiquette for them, even though their actions have been evil and they've dealt with either their citizens or somebody very cruelly, or they've or they've mistreated human beings.
Mm. I mean, it depends, Prabhu. Like, if we are really concerned about them and we can really do something about that, right? If we can really do something about that and help the person reevaluate their stance, or in some cases even overthrowing such a person, like Vena, right? For example, Vena, we heard the story of King Vena in Prithu Maharaj section. So this Vena was exactly the person that you described. He was a very cruel person. He would kill people for his own pleasure, and he would do all that. Now, what did the Brahmanas do, right? The Brahmanas, oh, they are Pandita Samadarshina. They are of the Brahminical nature. Now, what did they do? Did they just, keep um, uh, going through all that suffering? No, they went and they just killed him with sound. It is said that they just said, huh. That's all they said. That was the power of the Brahmanas, and they killed Vena. Now, did they do it out of spite? Yes, they may have done it out of spite, but then at the same time, these are Brahmanas, Shamodamash Tapa Shaucham, Kshantir Arjamam Evacha. These are the qualities of a Brahmana: peaceful, honest, whatever, all those things are mentioned in the Gita. Now, these people, okay, did they do it out of spite, killing Vena? They might have done it out of spite, but they, more importantly, they did it out of a thing that, okay, they had genuine care for everyone, the entire kingdom, as well as this activities of Vena, they were actually killing his soul only, in one sense, if you see. So the love and concern on the deepest level of soul, actually that warrants them to stop this Vena by any cost. So again, it depends on case to case. On the other hand, we have the other example, the other extreme, you can say, where Parikshit Maharaj, when he was cursed by Shringi, again a Brahmana. Now, that was done out of spite. That was definitely done out of spite. It was so disproportional for the small offense of putting a snake on his father's neck. Shringi curses Parikshit Maharaj. But in that case, also Parikshit Maharaj, although he had the power to counter curse and things like that, he did not do anything. So it depends on case to case, and we have to see what is the higher things at work, and yeah, that will need a lot of guidance and things like that.
Another story is the Mrugari, with Narad Muni,
Mm.
and he sees Mrugari has killed all these animals,
Yeah.
but he just tells them to, he just gently tells them to, uh, to kill the animals completely or something like that, right? And so he very gently deals with him because of
Yes.
his concern for him.
Correct. Correct.
So
He-
if there is a potential for if there's a potential for change,
Mm.
then there is then that you know th- then then the dealing can be different. But if there's no potential for change, like in the case of Vena,
Mm.
then they are then they have to take some action, I guess.
Correct. Correct. Yeah, we have to assess the potential for change as well. Very important point. And yeah, Mrigari, Narad Muni told Mrigari to kill completely and all that. And even after that, when Narad Muni explained the whole law of karma and how he's going to suffer, Mrigari actually softened up. He became sobered up a little. Then he said, okay, Maharaj, what should I do? I mean, I understand all this. I understand that a lot of suffering is in store for me. Now, what should I do? And that receptivity itself was a good virtue in Mrigari that helped him that helped him actually tap into the love and concern that Narad Muni had for him. So yeah, potential for change we have to assess in such cases also. Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu. Very beautiful point, very deep points that this brought about. Thank you very much, dear devotees. So anyway, one Nadia Kishore Prabhu is saying being non-duplicitous in dealings and showing genuine love and respect for others. Yes, definitely, Prabhu. Being non-duplicitous in dealings. And yeah, very important point. Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you very much. And then there is one more theme that I had, but we don't have time to cover. We are already 4 minutes over, but yeah, maybe we can, I'll share this in the group or something and we can discuss it later. But yeah, that's all from me, dear devotees. Any concluding thoughts? Yes, Vishal Prabhu.
Yeah, Prabhu, I had a question regarding text 22. Yeah, it says he accepts different forms as incarnations. So this talking about how the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there's no one to be killed, no one to be protected, no one to be neglected, or no one to be worshipped.
Hmm.
How he accepts different forms as incarnations, either in the mode of goodness, the mode of passion, or the mode of ignorance.
Hmm.
Can you give me examples where the Lord came in the mode of passion and mode of ignorance? Like all three?
So, mode of goodness is Vishnu himself. He's
Mm-hmm.
the main person in the mode of goodness. And then now what I've heard is these guna avataras, right? They're called guna avataras because these are three gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamas. So guna avataras are the Lord in these gunas. Now what happens is the Lord, if there is a living entity who can take this post of the main I guess what is the superintendent, like let's say, of the mode of passion and the mode of ignorance, then he lets such a person take that post, right? But if there is no such person, then the Lord takes up that seva himself. So the Lord, Lord Vishnu himself becomes Brahma in some cases. Although I don't have specific examples for this, but this is a Shastric truth that happens. So just like a prime minister, there is a prime minister, right? But then the prime minister can have a specific portfolio. The prime minister can take care of the portfolio of the finance minister. He is the prime minister. Yet, in addition to his duties as a prime minister, because he has certain expertise as as a, let's say, a finance person. Manmohan Singh, he recently passed away. I hope he goes to, his spiritual journey continues and he goes closer to Krishna. But he was a prime minister for a long time, but he had this expertise in finance. So he also must have taken up that portfolio to some extent, and at least an advisory role or something. So it's like that. So the Lord Vishnu, he is in the mode of goodness. He's the superintendent of the mode of goodness, but then he can take over the role of the superintendent of passion or ignorance if there is a need for that. But as far as specific examples go, nothing comes to my mind. Other devotees can add. I don't think there is a specific example of this.
Maybe Lord Parshuram, or
Parshuram could be one, yeah. Shakti-avesh avatar of the Lord, yeah. Mode of passion. He was a Kshatriya and then he killed. Yeah. Yeah. Even Lord Shiva, for that matter. Lord Shiva is he's a plenary portion of the Supreme Lord. Kshiram dadi vikara vishesha yogat. संजायते नहीं तत पृथग अस्ति है तो यह शंभुताम अपि तथा समुपैति कार्यात् गोविंदम आदि पुरुषम तम हम भजामि. So the difference between Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu is that like of milk and curd. It says in Brahma Samhita. So in one sense, Lord Shiva, who is predominator of the mode of ignorance also, he is actually an expansion of Lord Vishnu. So again, it's a complex, like there is Lord Shiva, then there are the Rudras. The Rudras actually are jivas that you can become Rudra by doing certain things. But then Lord Shiva and his expansions in the material world, they are actually beyond, they are not Jiva Tattva. So yeah, it's a complicated system, technicalities are involved. But yeah, suffice it to say that yeah, the Lord does take up these portfolios whenever there is a need. So
Yeah, that helps, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Okay, so if there is nothing else, is there any announcement, Gaur Kumar Prabhu?
Tomorrow His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami will be speaking at 22nd Avenue. That's the only announcement. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
So I have the Excel sheet has all the chapters. I still need to go through all the chapters and see if we can club something together, or if some chapters are very large and if you need to break it down. But yeah, I encourage devotees to sign up for these chapters. I also reach out to devotees personally. I have reached out to a few of you, but I'll reach out to others as well. And then, yeah, it's a nice opportunity to churn the churning of the ocean. So, okay, that's all. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha. Kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta koti vaishnava vrinda ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
His Grace Jagannath Gopal Prabhu ki jai.
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 Jai.